Welcome to The Difference of 13. We're excited to have you with us today. My name's Chris.
And I'm Terry.
And we are the wonderful hosts of the next 15 minutes of your life, hopefully. So wherever you are, if you're watching us on YouTube, good to see you. If you're listening to us in your car, hopefully you're going somewhere fun or maybe just killing some time doing something unproductive like listening to us. But
no, that's productive.
But whatever you're doing, we're glad you're here with us. Thanks for taking the time to tune in. Today we're talking about a fun topic, an important topic, and sometimes a tough one. That's kind of being motivated to, whether it's doing rehab or fitness in terms of staying fit. What do you do when it just ain't there?
Right. Well, because a lot of the people you work with are athletes, or at least very athletic individuals who enjoy working out and going to the gym. But what do you do with the person who doesn't really enjoy it but knows they need to do it? How do you reach them and get them doing it on a regular basis the way they're supposed to? Because I know when I came to see you, well, still now, working out is not my thing. Not my thing.
Well, why don't we start there? Why don't we say, what were some of the challenges that you experienced? Not coming from a professional athlete background or, even just like an avid fitness enthusiast, or right. Not like you're playing pickup basketball or anything.
No.
You're not playing golf on the weekends or amateur level sports. So, what was, I guess, what even brought you into therapy, or what would bring you even into the gym? What were some of the challenges that you faced? Surgery
was what brought me in. At first, I was trying to avoid it. And for me, the challenge was two things. I didn't really, quote, like working out, which made me feel uncomfortable because I didn't really know how to work out and what I should or should not do. It was a very alien format for me.
Just in terms of the gym environment? Or
the gym environment, working out, because there's people who walk in and they see the machines or the weights or whatever, and they pick them up and they look like they know what they're doing. And I walk in, I'm like, you say, go get a kettlebell. And at first I was like, what's a kettlebell? I'm not sure what that is.
Is that a cow?
A cow. It just feeling like I was in a very foreign territory.
So I think that's pretty common, at least in the therapy world, that, people who aren't necessarily, gym enthusiasts, get hurt and they end up in that environment for the first time. And, I think the first thing that you did was ask questions.
Mm-hmm. What is a kettlebell?
Yeah, exactly. But how did you get over that initial, that uncomfortable hump?
I'm still working on getting over that uncomfortable hump. But asking questions, I think, is very important. Like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? What should I feel? What should I not feel? As far as, doing the exercises. For me, it's helpful to understand why I'm doing it. How is this going to benefit me?
Yeah, well, I think that's an important piece. I think when you start working with a provider, whether it's a personal trainer, a physical therapist, whoever the professional is that you're working with, I think that's one of the big things that you need to be on the lookout for from them is, A, do they pick up that you aren't comfortable? Mm-hmm. And B, if they don't, tell them. And then once you've told them, however they get to that conclusion that you're not comfortable, do they take the time to explain everything that you're doing, why you're doing it, where you should feel it, where you shouldn't feel it? Or do they just kind of say, all right, go ahead, do that, and, I'll see you in 10.
Go warm up on the bike. Yeah.
Yeah. So
no one was ever able to explain to me why I, quote, needed to warm up on the bike.
Because they would have had to tell you it was just for the 8 units, so
right.
For the 8 minutes, so they could charge you a
right.
unit of exercise.
Right.
And honestly, probably most of the therapists didn't even know that. But
no.
But I think for somebody walking into that environment, as we always talk about, you could be your own best advocate, demand, to know why you're doing anything that you're doing. I think as with anything in life, come at it from a place of curiosity and, oh, that's interesting. That's kind of weird looking. What does that have to do with anything? Mm-hmm. And ask those questions. And I think that's the first step to, we talk about ultimately getting to the point where, maybe you're self-motivated to get up and go to the gym or, get up and work out or whatever, go to therapy, take care of that shoulder pain that's been bugging you for the last 4 months that you have neglected to really deal with, saying, oh, it'll go away. I think the first thing is to understand what's going on and why you're being asked to do what you're being asked to do. Because if you don't understand it, in my experience, if the person just has no understanding of what they're doing, the likelihood that they're going to buy into the program is pretty low. And I think, for me personally, if I don't understand why you're going to ask me to do something, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
Hence why I wasn't a good employee, or that's why I probably have given my mother a few gray hairs, or more than a few, she'll probably say. But I think that's where you have to approach it from.
I totally agree. So then the next step, okay, so I'm in the appointment and I'm doing what I need to do, and then you give the dreaded homework. Now go home and work on these 3 or 4 exercises. That was the next struggle of how to force myself to do those, because I'm not used to working out at home ever. Well, now I am, but before. Kind of working up that motivation to make sure that I did those things at home. So why is it important that we do those home exercises? What's the point of that? I come to PT 2 or 3 times a week. Isn't that enough?
Well, and I think that's a question you need to ask your therapist is, why am I doing these at home? Why have you picked these 3 to 4 exercises for me to do at home? And make them explain that to you. Because if they can't explain that to you, they should not have given them to you in the first place. But I think the general idea of a home exercise program is to build upon, what you learn in the clinic is great, but that's just an hour of time. It takes repetition and just repeated load on the tissue and the tendons to get the responses that we want to get in terms of whether it's building strength or mobility, whatever it may be. It just takes repetition in order for that to occur. So I think if you don't know, the therapist doesn't blatantly tell you, your trainer may even, let's say you go to personal training once a week and they say, hey, do this, these 4 exercises at home, 2 other times during the week, ask them why. Because if they're not telling you why, then I don't know how they would expect you to buy into that.
So I would play, I guess, mind games with myself to get me to do those exercises. So, if there was a particular television show I really enjoyed watching, okay, while I'm watching that, that's when I will do my exercises. And that's sort of grouped something that I enjoyed with something that I didn't enjoy as much. Or if I do these exercises, then I can have some ice cream, or, I bribed myself, which sounds silly because I could just go have the ice cream anyway. But find something that you want to, you enjoy doing. And if there's a way you can add your exercises into it at the same time, then it'll make it gives you an accountability as to time that I'm going to do it at this specific time of day. And it rewards you with doing something you already enjoy with the exercises.
Yeah, and I think that's a very common thing that you see in survival stories. Even like I forget what his name was. I think it was on Everest, and this guy fell hundreds of feet, and he had to get back to the camp with 2 broken legs, dragging himself with broken legs. And basically, what he did is he made a game I'm gonna get 100 steps, and then I'm gonna get to that rock over there, and then I'm gonna see if I can get to that rock in under 20 minutes, and then I'm gonna see if. And just by keeping his mind engaged and continually changing the challenge, he was able to accomplish a pretty ridiculously amazing feat. I think to a lesser degree of amazingness in terms of you doing your shoulder exercises. But it's the same idea in terms of kind of, quote unquote, tricking your mind, whatever that game may be or whatever the motivational strategy may be, whether it's you see if you can get a certain number in a certain amount of time, if you can do a certain length stretch, hold something for a plank or, I don't know, whatever you're doing, whether it's time based or repetition based, obviously it's going to depend on what you're doing. But yeah, I think setting it up where it's a little bit of a game in the beginning until you start to get into a little bit of a routine, where you can then do it. And I think that's the other piece to the puzzle that I see a lot with patients is figuring out what is actually realistic versus what I tell you should be realistic.
Exactly.
And so I'm always very cautious to ask somebody, what do you currently do right now? And if the answer is I do absolutely nothing, I'm not going to ask that person to do that exercise 6 times a day. That's
not
stupid.
going to happen.
I'm setting that person up for failure.
Right.
I actually had a guy online with one of our online clients, and he said he thought he could only do 30 minutes in a day. So we initially had built him about a 30-minute workout, and he's struggling to get it done. So what we ended up doing is we broke it up and said, all right, you're going to do these 15 minutes in the morning before you go to work to get mobile and loosened up, because that feels good for him.
Right.
And then you get to do all the fun, exciting, like power, fast stuff when you get home from work at night, because he's going to be much more motivated to do that than to lay on the ground and roll around and do some soft tissue work. And he's hit every single workout since then. So it's sometimes just something as simple as making it realistic to fit your day, which for him, it's the same amount of work. Nothing has changed in terms of the programming, except he just does the first half in the morning and the second half at night. But it's that changing that frame of mind and that mindset that all of a sudden it became doable for him. Yes. And I think that's the key, for anyone listening, is you have to figure out what is that doable mindset for you, and how, whether it's asking your therapist or somebody else, your trainer or your coach, to help you figure that out, or that's just you trying a bunch of different things. You kind of have to figure that out, because if you don't, you're not going to be successful.
No, and you have to be honest with your therapist. If they give you this long list of home exercises to do and you're not going to do them, don't tell them that you are when you know you're not. And then when you come back next week, don't lie and say that you did them when you didn't. So you have to be transparent.
Yeah, you're just wasting your time and theirs and your money.
Yes.
And I think the other thing to look for if you're in a rehab setting, or if somebody's giving you homework to do, the ideal number from a compliance standpoint is between 3 to 5 exercises. So if somebody's giving you 25 of them, it ain't going to happen. No. Unless you're a crazy type A, that's just there are very, very few people that actually works for. So whether it's in a rehab setting, in the performance world, there's some companies out there that I know, they'll do an assessment and then they give you your packet to go, and it's got 50 exercises in it. I've never met anybody who actually did all those exercises.
Yeah, well, I would look at that packet and I'd be overwhelmed and just give up.
Well, I think that's the same thing with the mindset, the frame of mind, is you have to put it in a way that is achievable. Another good example, I had a client starting yesterday, online, just started, and we were talking about with him. He initially put down 3 days a week. He said, I really want to get better quicker. So what if we do 4 or 5? What do you think about that? Is that a good idea? Will that get me better quicker? So my response to him was, well, if you do them all, 4 or 5 days a week, we'll get more done. You'll progress quicker. But he hadn't been doing anything. And so I told him, I said, look, I've seen this story before. And if you come in, guns blazing and go 5 days a week right off the bat, you'll be great for the first 3 weeks. And then something's going to happen. Life's going to get in the way. And then that overwhelmed, or that, I didn't get one done. Oh, well, I'll start it next week. And then it just spirals out of control. So I think the key is really building small victories and small wins. And if I'm going to get 5 minutes every day for the next 5 days, and hit those, and then move it to 10 minutes, and then move it to 15, and then 20, and I think just you slowly build up, and everybody's going to have their own pace at which they can build. But I think gaining momentum, my favorite analogy of the moment is the flywheel. So you kind of push that flywheel a little bit, and with every single push, it starts moving faster and faster and faster and faster. It's not going to get all going in one huge big push.
Right.
I think it's a matter of just lots of little pushes start to really build that momentum, and that momentum then leads into more and more motivation, because you're starting to see success. Success breeds success. You're going to be motivated because you saw how much better you're getting. I think when you suck and then you see how much you suck, that's a very unmotivating.
Yeah. Why bother?
Right. Yeah. So I think that those are a lot of the strategies that I think you got to think about. When if you're struggling to be motivated, and for some reason you have to be in a gym or you have to be in rehab, I think those are definitely some things that we found to work.
Yeah, I found for me a lot of times the hardest part was just getting started.
The first push of the flywheel is the hardest. Yeah,
that first, So again, I play mind games with myself of okay, if there's 3 exercises I'm supposed to do, I'll just start with the first one, and generally, once I did that first one, okay, I may as well do the others. But it was just going in with that mindset of, I only have to do this first one. It's only going to take a few minutes. I can do that.
Yeah. Well, I think I'll do the same, with conditioning, or I hate conditioning. And so if I'm saying, all right, I know I need to do 10 rounds. all right, let me just do 5. And then I get to the number 5. It's like, all right, don't be a wuss. You can do 6.
Right. You're already
Like,
doing
all right,
it.
don't. All right, you can do 7.
Yeah.
And so I think playing, tricking your mind and figuring out whatever works for you. And nothing what works for you isn't going to work
Right.
for everybody. But I think you got to know that that's normal, and ask for help in terms of trying to figure out how to do it differently.
I think a lot of people who are in the gym are also feeling awkward and unsure, but they just fake it better than I do.
Well, from knowing what I am doing in the gym and knowing what other people kind of should be doing,
Yeah.
and if you go to I can't go to a commercial gym now without
I'm sure.
like I just bring a handful of cards and I tend to hand them out. But it's there when you look at like a regular commercial gym, 90% of the people in there have no freaking idea what they're doing.
No.
They're just doing what they saw in the latest Men's Health, or what they saw the guy next to them or the girl next to them doing. There's no rhyme or reason. If you ask them, why are you doing all those, they'll come up with some, I want to get my biceps stronger. I want to get, the actual understanding or true understanding at a high level is so bad. so I think that's the other thing to take away is if you're not sure or you feel a little unsure of what you're doing, you're in the majority. And,
Yes.
A silent majority, but you're in the majority. And that's okay. And I think to speak up is some of the hardest and bravest thing to do, but when you do that, that's going to put you so far ahead of everybody else and where you could have been if you had just stayed quiet and kind of tried to act like everyone else and look like you knew what you were doing. So
Sounds good. Let's
Yeah.
go work out.
yeah, let's do it. So, but yeah, I think hopefully that was helpful for you listening out there. If you do struggle with kind of how to get going and feeling a little bit out of place, if you have any specific questions on that, just let us know. That's certainly where we can talk you through. Happy to listen to what's going on with you and help you through your specific situation. As always, don't forget to thumbs up on YouTube.
5 stars.
5 stars wherever you're listening. iTunes or wherever you get your podcast from. And definitely going to want to tune in. We have some post-operative.
Oh, yeah. We have
news.
a wealth of experience there.
So
Sadly, a little too much.
yes, you definitely don't want to miss the next episode. So we look forward to seeing you the next time you're here. And thanks again for listening wherever you are. Hopefully you got to wherever you're going, and hopefully we added a little bit of smiles to your day.
Yeah.
So
Take that first step.
there you go. And so thanks for listening, and we'll catch you on the flip side.
Bye.